Good people, good people, good people. Welcome back to the Gumtown Podcast, episode 202. I'm Doug B. If you tuned in to this podcast, thank you for your time and your attention. I really appreciate you giving it a shot. Today's guest is the founder and director of 219 to 819 Resilient Heart. I'm looking forward to this conversation. I'm sure we'll all be inspired by her story. Let's chop it up with Javette Jones. Javette, how's it going?
It's going good. I am well. How about yourself?
Glad to hear that. All is well on my end too. First things first, thank you for taking time out of your schedule to chop it up with me. I really appreciate it.
Of course, of course. I thank you as well for inviting me. Thank you for the invitation.
Yes, ma'am. Of course, you to talk about all the great things you got going on with 219 at 819 Resilient Heart nonprofit organization. But before we go there, let's get to know the woman behind it all. So you were originally born in Montgomery. What was your upbringing like in the Gump?
I grew up on the west side, raised by my grandmother. Not a lot, with like eight others, cousins and brothers, sisters, siblings. We all grew up together by, the matriarch of our family or whatever. So pretty much normal, in the hood, nothing fancy, just, watching like my grandma raise us and tell us basically how to, navigate the world and stuff like that or whatever. So it's just that coming up on the west side.
Okay, sounds good. And that's typical upbringing for a lot of us, myself included. Granny pretty much raised us all, kept all the grandkids, and one of such thing is daycare. Granny
Right.
was the daycare. Yes,
Right.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And I definitely understand that. And just growing up in the west side of Montgomery and got a chance to be raised by your granny. So I know you saying offline you got a chance to move around to some different places. So what were some of those other cities you lived in growing up?
I lived in Atlanta and I also, for a short period, lived in some parts of Texas. But that was just when I was a lot younger. But Atlanta and Minneapolis.
Oh
Yep.
wow. Okay, so you got a chance to move to the A, Texas, Minneapolis.
hmm
Okay, so any fond memories from any of those places you lived in?
Atlanta, I was very independent, so it was just, being able to ride around on trains and, just like I was into sports and, just fun memories of that. That was probably the fun memories in Atlanta. But, of course, like being in the Midwest, it was being in the largest city, graduating, seeing different things that you don't see in Montgomery or whatever. So it's just like, yeah, probably my dad was kind of a deal in Minneapolis or whatever. So I got to see some things. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Okay, sounds good. That's good. You got a chance to move around and see a few different cities and get
Right.
different exposure to different places. So okay,
Right.
cool. So ultimately, when you finish up high school, did you finish up high school in Montgomery or elsewhere?
No, I went to school in Montgomery, a few years of elementary school, maybe a short time in I think 1 year of junior high and definitely 1 year of high school. But I finished school in Minneapolis or whatever, so I graduated in there.
Okay, sounds good. So upon finishing high school in Minneapolis, did you go to college, military, or did you go right to work?
I did. I love family. I'm very family oriented. So I wanted to come back and be around my family. So I decided that I would come back to Alabama to go to school. And at the time, I ended up going to Auburn, but it wasn't like I was, oh, yeah, Auburn is whatever. It was just between Auburn or the University of Alabama. It was just like which one is closer to my family. Auburn was a little bit, obviously closer to Montgomery. So that was how I ended up at Auburn. The experience at Auburn wasn't at the time, it was, that was so long ago, 30 years ago. So at the time it was like not much there to do, not many people. It was kind of like a culture shock,
Hmm.
especially coming from, like living in Atlanta, living in like Minneapolis. It was kind of like a culture shock, to come to like a small city at the time like that with Harley and I think they had like one cab at the time and it was like one cab and stuff like that. It was kind of a culture shock. So, and some things with family and finances and stuff like that hindered me from completing that degree. So I ended up leaving.
Okay, definitely understand that. I mean, hey, life be life sometimes, and you have to
Right.
adjust and make pivots. So I definitely understand that. Appreciate you for giving us a little bit of your background. So
Right.
we're here this evening to mainly talk about what you got going on with 219 at 819 Resilient Heart. So what exactly is the foundation all about?
So the foundation, it started off as a support group. Like that was my main thing, a support group to put a focus on people that are struggling with mental health issues and not just when people think of mental health, most people think of things like bipolar, schizophrenia, just all those different, things like that. But, a lot of people who don't have issues like that, we have things like depression, anxiety, PTSD, stuff like that. So, just people who are out here, normal people navigating life who are struggling with those type of issues. That is what I wanted to provide an avenue for. And me myself, um, having struggled with, some of those mental health disorders like, depression and anxiety and trying to raise a family, trying to be a wife, trying to go to work and all these different things. And it was a struggle for me. And just having to go through a lot of the things that I went through, like sometimes, like I ended up trying to find a support group that would help me with those things, with real life, and not just the stuff that they fluff it up to be or whatever. So just trying to find some avenues and I could never find, and there was just like one here and there, and it's just like trying to find that one and always going somewhere and never being able to catch it. It was just like, this is something that I feel, is really needed, for regular people, mothers, even men, because with June being like men's mental health, awareness month or whatever, even men. So just wanted to start a support group is how it started. And from that, it just blew up into, just this other need and just God pushing me. And it's more like I feel like what God is leading me to do. So out of that spawned into 219 at 819 Resilient Heart, which is a nonprofit organization that focuses on mental health. So that's what
Okay.
we are.
Okay, awesome stuff. And I definitely appreciate you for sharing and giving us some of that background about the organization. And yeah, mental health is definitely important. It's definitely great that you've created this safe space because people, black folks, people who look like me and you need these spaces. I mean, let's just call it
Right,
what it is because, it's one of those things where we're we're always taught to suppress stuff and be tough and have tough
right.
skin. But I mean, I'm glad that you decided to create this type of safe space, this mental health, this mental awareness space. I mean, because black people, we need like we've been through a lot. We still going through it.
Right, right. And that's exactly what we want to do. We want to end the stigma around mental health. We want to reduce like negative stereotypes. We want to bridge the gap between mental health providers and and patients. And we want to like foster a positive like space and a positive attitude. And we want to also just let people know that it is okay to because first of all, mental health wellness is just as important as physical, wellness or whatever. So we just like are taught to take care of your physical health, you also need to be taught to take care of your mental health. And again, like you said, we're taught so much and black men, more so even than, like black women, like are taught, hey, don't cry, don't do this, don't express your feelings, don't talk about your feelings and stuff like that. And so that leads to people always holding things in and feeling like we have to keep all this stuff inside. And then you just start, all the stuff just builds up on the inside or whatever. And then, you grow up with, or you find yourself in relationships with people that you meet that don't know how to express themselves. They don't know how to control their emotions or deal with their emotions and stuff like that. So we just want to and focus on that we're trying to do. Focus on ending the stigma around mental health in the Black community, especially. Work on yourself.
Yes, ma'am. That's powerful stuff, and that's great that you've created this foundation for that purpose. And it's just one of those things, like you said, just creating a positive stigma behind it. Like you definitely got to take care of your mental just as well as, like you say, you take care of your physical. And I gotta ask you because the name itself caught my eye. Like, what's the inspiration behind 219 at 819 Resilient Heart? Like, what inspired that name?
Right. So, the first part, 219, just has a lot of significance. Like that number was just, it was so many different things popping up with 219. I don't even know how quickly I could say it, but mainly the first thing was I was in a place like transitional housing between, I was um like trying to find like in between like a divorce and stuff. It was just a lot of stuff. So I was staying at a like in transitional housing. So the apartment was or the I was at an extended stay, so the number was 219. So that was like the first occurrence of 219. And because it was so much stuff going on during that time that was causing so much stress and like depression and stuff like that. It was a lot, with that. And then like after that, like literally during that time, I had to take some time, which this is just being transparent. I had to take some time where I was just going through emotionally so much so where I had to make a decision of whether or not I wanted to live or whether or not I was going to, just let my life, um, just go a different way or whatever. So I had to make a decision for myself and for my kids to get myself some help. And so I ended up like like checking myself into a treatment center and like unbeknownst to me like the number was 219, so it was like crazy. So I'm living in this like extended stay and the number is 219, and I just checked into this checking myself to get help and the number is 219. And then it was like so many other occurrences, like my bank card, I went to another place and got another like extended stay. It was 219. My daughter's homeroom looked at the paperwork. We never knew it was 219. And my other daughter, she was in college and her choir room was 219. It was just it was 219 just was everywhere. And we just we couldn't figure out like what God was trying to say, like what God was trying to show us and why this number kept appearing like this. The last occurrence was I was sitting in this brand new extended stay and I'm looking at this. I just got a new bank card because somebody was I'm like trying to charge my card and stuff like that. And I had been using this card and I hadn't even been paying attention. And I looked at turned the back of the card and like the CVC number was 219. So it was crazy. It was like, what is this number? What is this? And so, I looked because I am, heavily in tune with my relationship with God or whatever. So, I'm looking up now, I'm starting to look up things or whatever. So I'm looking up scriptures in the Bible and I just found some scriptures that, that were, verses 219 that were kind of that resonated with me, which one of them is kind of what I say all the time. And it says that like my latter works will be greater than the first. So that means like whatever my past was and all that, like my works now, they're gonna be much better. And that's what I intend to do. So 219 is the first, that's the first all that meaning with that. And then 819 is my birthday. And just because like I struggle so much with depression and stuff like that, like I see the number 819 like all the time. Like I look up, just so happen to look up at stuff and it's 819. I just so happen to look over there and it's 819. I get something, turn my phone over and oh, it's right on 819 or it's just stuff like that. So I felt like it was always a reminder from God that, like I do matter. Like my life is, I do have a purpose here. So like I've learned that so long, like my pastor and everybody through everything I've been going through, and everything that I went through in my life, um, people would always ask me, well, what is your purpose? What do you think your purpose is? And I'm like, I have no clue. I don't know. How does somebody who feel like I feel like I have a purpose? And now that I know, I feel like now with all of this, I feel like my pain was my purpose. So I'm feeling like, okay, God, I hear you. This is my purpose. I need to show people out there like that are in my shoes that look like me, that, feel like me, that if you can see me and know everything that I've gone through and everything that God has brought me through and kept me from, like you would know that he can do it for anybody and he will do it for anybody. So it's basically that. That's the purpose of it. That's the purpose behind and that's the purpose behind 219 at 819. It's me. It's I matter. This is my purpose. I'm not embarrassed by the things I have gone through. I've went through so much in life, and nobody has a clue of like even half of the things that I've gone through. But I do want to be let people know that you can be like me, and you can still be okay.
Wow, that's so
So
powerful just hearing you. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, my bad.
no, that was it.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. That's so powerful. And I appreciate you for sharing everything, just the correlation of 219 and just being in that space and realizing that you weren't okay and going to get help. And I just definitely commend your courage to for the awareness to know that you weren't okay versus just trying to pretend like you were and walking
Right.
around and taking yourself into that place to get help and just choosing to live. I mean, because like you said, like now you got an opportunity to turn your pain into purpose. And the 219 to 819, it makes perfect sense. There's really a story behind it, and like that's why I'm really big into like brand names, organization names, and I thank you for sharing that, and I thank you for your transparency.
Of course.
Yes, ma'am. So whenever I have entrepreneurs, founders, directors on the platform like yourself, I like to talk about three things: the aha moment, action, and audacity. And you pretty much already covered your aha moment, what led to you wanting to launch this foundation. So from the time you realized you wanted to turn your pain into purpose and launch this foundation, how long did it take you to get the LLC registered, the 503c, and all that good stuff situated?
Here's the thing, like because it happened so quickly, like again, my objective was I just want to do a support group. I'm a type of person where I don't like to do a lot of talking. I don't like to be in front of people. I'm not and I'm still working through my anxiety and stuff like that or whatever. So I just want to do this small thing and everything else that is happening with it, I'm telling you, like, is beyond me. Like it's beyond me. It's like something I'm just surprised. I sometimes I get so overwhelmed. I'm like, wow. And it just happened so fast. It literally happened like one moment I was talking to, my therapist about this, and we had been talking about the possibility of a support group for so long, and it just, took off. So I actually am still in the process of obtaining my own LLC or I'm sorry, my own 501c3. So I haven't done that level of the process yet. I am right now doing fundraising to assist with like startup costs and other things. We also, yeah, so it's like it's literally just a blur. Like in a matter of months, like I in February really nailed down and said, okay, this is what I want to do. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do the support group. And like from that time to like from February to April, it like blew up so fast, like my head was spinning. So then I was thrust into, okay, what do I do now? What do I do next? So it's just like, okay, speaking with other people who have experience with this and trying to get knowledge from them. Okay, where do I go now? What are the next steps? And how do I fund this? And just stuff like that or whatever. So I'm actually still in the process of obtaining my own 501c3 or whatever, but that's just a matter of finances or whatever or funding that or whatever. So, but like I said, we're in the process um of raising funds and trying to get that done as well.
Okay, sounds good. Hey, you in motion, making it happen, and hey, that's what it's all about. Just keep moving and just stay at it. Like you said, getting the funding and everything situated to get everything official, legitimized, and hey, keep rocking and
Right.
rolling. Yes, ma'am.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So the last portion, audacity, is one thing to have an idea. It's another thing to put action behind it. But to actually put it out to the world, to be praised or criticized, that's where the audacity comes in my
Uh-huh.
opinion. And it just sounds like you wanted to share your story with the world. You gave yourself that audacity to put this out to the world.
Right. Right. It takes a lot. It takes a lot, especially dealing with, what my organization is dealing with. It takes a lot to also admit to not having a certain skill. Like some people will look at me like, one of the things that I say all the time is number one, I don't claim to be a therapist or a life coach or, a psychologist or anything like that. My claim or what I'm trying to do is just show people through me um, how it looks and how you can get help and how you can be helped and how you can help yourself. What I also I have wonderful resources. I work with a wonderful and like a great clinical psychologist. I want to link people to care. I want to be able to also again just give people a safe space and stuff like that. So people look at me sometimes and they might say like who does she think she is? How does she feel like she's qualified to do this? And there's a scripture that says, God doesn't he doesn't call the qualified, so I feel like, and one of the things that my therapist always says, she always says that I have the best experience to be able to lead this project. And so that's what we are. We're completely, if you look at my work, and if you look at our website, our website is not actually active yet, but like our Facebook page, if you look at all of that, everything is completely like we're not half stepping. Like I put a lot of passion into what I do. Like if you go on there, you look at my story, you look at our statement, our mission. Yeah, it takes a lot to be able to put yourself out there and to receive a lot, the criticism. So that's one thing I had to be willing to do, put myself out there, put my own story out there, especially with what I've been through and just to be able to help people. And I always say, if I could just help one person, if I could just help one person, it doesn't like what people think of me and what people think of my story doesn't matter.
Yes, ma'am. That's spot on. Just being able to help one person, like you said, just help one person uh, get through their go through. And like you were saying earlier, you spot on. God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the call. So
Right.
just in terms of people who may be thinking you're not qualified, I mean, to me, you're more than qualified because you speak from a place of experience. I mean, all the fancy smancy titles and all that. I mean, it's cool to have all that psychologist, but you you've actually gone through what you've been through, and now you're helping others. And I mean, that qualifies you through and through in my book. So I'm glad you're being a you're you turned your pain into purpose and being a beacon of hope because I mean sometimes a lot of times that's all we need sometimes, Javette, like just to know that we're not alone. So I'm glad that you've created this space so people that come into your space know that they're not alone.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yes, ma'am. So just in terms of nowadays, like with you being the founder, the director of this organization, getting off the ground, progressing it, and keeping the ball rolling. So nowadays, what do you do to decompress and get away from it all? Because I know you said earlier that you are a mom and now you're doing this foundation. Like, what do you do to decompress?
I do a lot of journaling. I attend therapy weekly. I put a lot of, I'm very avid in my church, so I find things that help me feel better. Like I volunteer at my church. I volunteer with my church food pantry. That makes me feel good, gives me time to feel better about myself. I like to read. I don't get a chance to do as much reading as I used to or would like to do, but I also do that. I also try to do some self-care, even like with me, I'm gonna be honest, I have to do small self-care stuff. So even if it's just once a pay period doing something like, going to Starbucks, getting a nice drink that I like, just things like that or whatever. And honestly, like I definitely have to when you're in a position like this, you definitely have to have some downtime because it does get overwhelming. And if you're a person like me, I have so many ideas, I have so many things that I want to do. So I'm doing it's so many parts to it that I'm doing. I'm doing, business cards. I'm doing the stuff for the website. I'm doing I'm doing all this stuff or whatever. So you definitely have to take some time. So I like to spend a lot of time with my grandbabies. I have three beautiful granddaughters, and I spend time with them, and they are just, really like the light of my life. So I spend time with them, spend time with my kids, and just try to focus and focus on my relationship with God, and spend a lot of time with trying to get better with my prayer life, and trying to get better with, you know, like reading my Bible and stuff like that. So that's really just what my downtime is. I really don't spend a lot of time out of the house and stuff like that. Just so that's pretty much what I do. Pretty much.
Okay, sounds good. Hey, the most important thing is just having those avenues that you can go to to unwind, decompress, and I mean that's great.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. You get a chance to spend time with the grandbabies and get a chance to go to Starbucks on payday. Hey, hey, I love it. I mean that's what it's all about, Javette. Just finding those outlets, you know.
Right.
Yes, ma'am. So you've done great things in this space thus far, and I know great things are coming down the pipeline, which leads to my next portion, vision. What are some of your short term and long term goals for the foundation you feel comfortable sharing?
Yes, like so our projected impact, we want to promote awareness and education on, first of all, ending the mental health stigma. That's our main like objective. We also, again, like I said earlier, I think want to bridge the gap between build a like bridging the gap, and we also want to build positive relationships between mental health providers and patients. We also want to reach, so there's a disproportionate like percentage of Black Americans that, number one, have mental health conditions that do not receive mental health services. So we would like to like reduce those numbers, and we want to get people into treatment. And not saying that we're trying to do this thing where everybody, just because you're feeling this, we want to throw you into treatment, or we want to force people into treatment. We're not doing that. We're talking about mental health wellness. So we're talking about stuff like self-care. So we're talking about support groups. And there may be people that might want to come to, a support group that may never want to see a mental health professional. But in the case where there are those people, or there are those other cases where, like in my case, where it was literally, seriously, 100% live or die. So if it's a case like that, let us have you in, create this space that is safe enough, where people feel, safe enough to um share their experiences, and trust us, with their biggest fears, and things like that, or whatever. So we want to link people to care. We want to, the people that want to be linked to care, or need to be linked to care. We want to do those things. So those are our like short-term goals, our, our projected impact goals. So
Okay, sounds good. And I have no doubt you put in the work and make all those goals come to fruition.
right.
Yes, ma'am. As we wrap up the podcast, I want to ask the $1 million question. So I started this podcast because I wanted to highlight the greatness connected to the city of Montgomery, whether you were born here or lived here for a significant period of your life, be it college, military, or work. You being a hometown hero, Javette, I got to ask you, what do you appreciate the most about the city of Montgomery?
I love the fact, since I'm family oriented, I love Montgomery, all of the history that it has, the bad history, the good history. Like, I love the fact that we are known for the civil rights movement. Um, yeah, I love that. I love even though some of the fact that, Black people can stick together. And even with the thing as simple as a boat ride, that turned into, I love the fact that we can stick together. And even though Montgomery, you think about all the stuff, you know, the history, the bad history that we have, but I do love the fact that we have a lot of rich history. We have things that we're known for, civil rights movement, sticking together, popping that off. I love that about Montgomery. So, and I love the fact of, it's, although it's not as fast as a larger city, I still love the history behind it. So I love that.
Yes, ma'am. Powerful stuff and spot on. Definitely Montgomery is a historic city. Like you said, the civil rights, the riverboat brawl. Hey, that's a historical
Right.
event now. Hey, people, hey, listen. Hey, we're just gonna keep it clean for the kids.
Right.
A few folks messed around and found out that day. I mean,
Right.
that's all I'm gonna
Right.
say. But no, that's
Right.
good. That's good stuff. So Javette, how can people connect with you? What are your social media handles?
So it's exactly what it is. Everything is pretty much 219 at 819 Resilient Heart. So Facebook is 219 at 819 Resilient Heart. Instagram is the same at 219 at 819 Resilient Heart. So yeah, you can find us there. We have a great event coming up. We have our official meet and greet coming up on June 1st. It's going to be held at, I'm sorry, at Blunt Cultural Park, which, Black people know it as Shakespeare. So it's going to be at Shakespeare on June 21st at 2 o'clock. We're going to have our official meet and greet. It's going to be featuring a special guest, which is clinical psychologist Dr. Amanda Lewis Yarbrough. She is the owner of Avondale and Associates psychological care services. So it's going to be a really good thing. So they can find
Oh,
us there.
okay, sounds good. And at the time when this episode aired, that event would have already have occurred.
It
But I'm
will.
but I'm speaking great things. Hey, that event was an amazing event. You had a huge turnout,
Right.
and it was a success. I mean, seriously, like I'm definitely wishing you a great
Right.
event, fun event, safe time, and I know it'll be a huge success. And of course, I'll put the Facebook and IG information in the description of the episode. Hey, Javette, thanks again for the conversation. I really appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you and what you are doing to spotlight all of the wonderful things and just great things going on in Montgomery. So I salute you as well.
Yes, ma'am. Good people, that concludes another dope episode of the Gumtown Podcast. In the meantime, in between time, y'all know what to do. Be blessed, be safe, but most importantly, have the audacity to be you.